Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the PWBA Podcast. I'm Jason Thomas. Thanks for joining us here on Bull TV and over on our PWBA and USBC Facebook pages and the Bull TV YouTube channel. Aaron Smith is off today, so you'll have to put up with just me today. But we've got another special guest for you here, Summer Jasmin. I'm just going to go ahead and bring her right on the show. How are you doing today, Summer?
I'm doing great, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great to have you. So interesting times here in the world the last few months. What have you been up to since the zombie apocalypse started?
Well, that first 2.5 months since March to end of May, I really took that 2.5 month break. Didn't pick up the bowling ball. I mean, I might have picked it up like maybe 5 times and threw it in my yard, but pretty much didn't bowl. Didn't bowl very much. Didn't bowl at all. Didn't think about bowling, which was kind of nice. I haven't had a break, like an actual break, since probably ever. And it was kind of nice just to take a break. And then after bowling center started opening, yeah, like ever. And bowling center opened once she was allowed to open back up. Started coming out and practicing like 3 times a week, maybe just a few games here and there, and then started working at my home center, Leisure Lanes in Beckley, West Virginia, and just kind of like I said, taking it easy, easing back into it. I bowled 1 tournament since the whole COVID thing. Yeah. It was adult youth tournament, and we finished 4th, which I'm grateful for. My partner bowled great. I was just kind of like the boat anchor at the beginning, but I carried it. I got through the Baker portion pretty good and just ran out of steam. So it was nice to get out there and bowl a tournament.
Yeah. You were telling me about your home center, Leisure Lanes. You said that it's a wood center, and they just finished a resurface, which us older gentlemen and ladies remember back in the day, but it's kind of a rare occurrence these days. So what did that entail, and what have you seen with the lanes before and after the resurface?
Well, I know a lot of the front part of lanes, the wood was starting to kind of get a little beat up, so they replaced a lot of boards, and they look like brand new lanes. It's actually really cool. I haven't bowled much on it yet. Today was she just opened up today, and she just kind of put that first, the first oil since she's resurfaced, and really couldn't tell a difference. Just being real tentative with the approaches because the approaches were done too, and we just wanted to get a couple games in, but they are a little different than what they were previously. So it's going to be an exciting season. Yeah. Hopefully I get my average up a little bit.
How long has the center been around?
So from what they were telling me, this center in this spot, it'll be 60 years this year.
Wow. And it's the original wood still?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. And then, like earlier off screen, we have this 24 lane center. Lanes 9 through 24 is the original 16, and they added 8 more. And so it's kind of 2 different bays. I would like to say.
Yeah, and then you were talking about how they played a lot differently, right? The yes. First 8 versus, and then there's yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the first 8, 1 through 8, the back ends are a little cleaner. Use it more for like birthday parties, just because it's a little farther away from the control desk. And I was telling, like I said earlier, we were talking how I said lanes 9 through 13 is different from 14 through like 18, and then 19 and 20 is like lane 21, and then 22 is like 23 and 24. Like just little nuances between the lanes. There's characteristics. Yeah. We'll get to see if they're still there. Most of the time, they stay there even after a resurface, but it'll be interesting to see because if she, like I said, she resurfaced last time in 2009, so that's right when I was in like my last year of youth, and I didn't know very much about bowling. And then as I got older, I gained more knowledge about like learning the characteristics of lanes, like what's like pay attention, like how we always talk about writing notes. That was kind of like where it started, and then it started making sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you bowl and you practice on you're at your home center where the lanes are wood. Most of I mean, I don't think we've gone to a wood center since the PWBA started in 2015. So what's kind of the difference between the way see the lanes play out on tour versus back at home?
On the wood, everything kind of tends to hook a little earlier, or just hook more in general. When I go to on tour, everything's a little slicker. I tend to use a little more surface. I know at my home center, I like to use like cleaner covers, pearls, just stuff that I can kind of, and with a little bit of surface just to control it. And then on tour, I tend to use like some pieces that are earlier just because the oils are a little slicker, or the conditioners are slicker than what I'm used to here at home.
Yeah. Now, does that mean when you see certain times of transition, like for example, if sometimes we'll do tournaments where there's no re-oil, so there'll be a burn squad. Do you find that you bowl better during that part of the tournament because it's more similar to what you're used to seeing at home?
Oh, definitely, especially when I first started on tour. I always tended to like kind of get most of my pins when lanes got a little drier, and I kind of could get my feet a little farther left and kind of throw it away from me. And then now I've kind of learned to throw a little straighter, and it's a little like I got to figure out the balance between the two. So, but yeah, I always tended to like the burn a little more because it would just tend to hook more. And bowling league at home, I tend to bowl with a lot of guys. There's not a lot of scratch women.
Gotcha.
Women bowlers, and bowling ways, they tear up the oil patterns so quick. So I had to learn to compete with them. I had to learn to get farther left with them and learn to try to adjust my angles to carry.
Yeah, no, I've definitely noticed that about your game. Is you definitely tend to bowl well when they start to hook quite a bit. You've bowled a lot on tour. You've been one of the players that have really supported it and competed in a lot of the events. And we know you enjoy your road trips. Have you had a chance to do any road trips since this pandemic, or are you looking forward to getting back out on tour so you can see more of the country?
Road trip wise, went to the adult youth tournament. It was in Dayton, Ohio, or Beaver Creek, and that was like the only road trip I've been on. So the last one before that was the regional in Iowa. So not too much traveling on my part. So my car is kind of happy. I can tell you that. I am too. It's a nice break.
Okay, so you're actually happy
being in a car for 3 months.
Gotcha. What are some of your favorite
like favorite places, centers, or
yeah. Favorite places that you've had a chance to visit since the tour started?
I like St. Petersburg, Clearwater.
Yeah, everybody likes that place.
I like that stop. I like the National Bowling Stadium. I shot a 300 there at the Open Championships.
Yeah, we'll definitely.
So it's definitely got a little place in my heart, even though I can't make a cut there. But yeah, and I haven't made a cut there, but I shot a 300, so that's definitely like the bowling stadium is probably one of my favorite places to go visit. And just little places where I've made cuts or had good memories, it just kind of like have a little place in my heart for sure. But the bowling stadium, I think that environment's just the first time I ever went there, I was so nervous because I was a sub at the Open Championships. And I took place of a guy who had just had like a heart attack. And they were like, it's my first year adult too, or second year adult. And they're like, you want to come out to Reno, bowl the Open Championships? And I'm like, maybe, sure. And I said yes. And I'm only supposed to bowl doubles and singles. Like that was how they have 5. So I was the 6th number.
Yeah.
And I got on the sub board, and I bowled with this team from Massachusetts. And I just remember walking out of that, that center aisle, which is a cool moment for any bowler, I think.
It is. It's awesome.
And I shot 600 even. like first time I bowled on anything really hard since like junior gold. And I was like, oh man, I bowled pretty good. I beat the two teams, like everyone on the pair of lanes. And it was funny because I heard a story later on. The guy that I actually replaced, he came along just to, have like a vacation. And he overheard the team I was with. And they had said, oh man, we got a girl bowling with us, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up shooting 600. So it was funny because the next year they were looking for subs, and a couple of guys from my home center actually ended up bowling with them. But then they were super nice to me afterwards, but they were just nice guys, and I was super nervous. I just remember saying, I was like, can I just shoot like a 570 or just be close to even? So, but it was fun, and I think that was 2000. I want to say 2011, and then 3 years later, I shot 300 at the stadium. So,
yeah, I was going to ask about that a little later, but we might as well talk about it now since you brought it up. So it was in doubles, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it was the second game of doubles. I bowled with Robert Way from North Carolina. They had a group that I can't remember how many teams, but it was at least like 3 or 4 teams from the North Carolina area. One of my friends from up here lived down there for a little bit, and I want to say that year I was a sub also, and somebody had dropped out, sub. And I dropped, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna bowl with Robert," and I'm like, "Okay, that's he's a lefty," and I bowled terrible in the team. I couldn't tell you what I bowled. I don't even remember. Like I blocked it out, and I remember I was like, "Yo," and we were trying to like break down the lanes to where like we would have something decent. And I remember like my friend, he likes to go left also. And his buddy was like, you need to get your butt back over to the right. So we all stayed right. And I remember, I think I missed the 10 pin somewhere in the first game, halfway through. And then I started striking. And then we get into the second game, like it just kept going. It just kept striking. And I was like, okay. And it was fun because the year before that, I actually had the front 7. And you know how the strikes turn red? Yeah, I had that. And then I think I left a 5-7 on a really like the shot was okay, but off a hand was really bad. And that was the year before. So I was like, this year I got to the red strikes, didn't get as nervous. And I just remember getting up there and I was like, all right, just be firm. And I have one of my friends tell me, just breathe. And he told me, like, breathe on 3, breathe out on 3. And I'm like, okay, you're not making me nervous or anything. And this is at like midnight because we had the 10:30 p.m. squad.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is how this is going to go. And my mom's watching, and I'm pretty sure she was asleep. She might have been asleep. I don't know. And I think someone nudged her awake. And I got the front 11, and I remember getting up on the 12th shot, and I was like, all right, just be close. And I actually missed a little right. There's a video on Facebook. Kind of scroll through my Facebook videos, and there's my last shot's on there, and it's the latest 7-pin fall ever. Like something came over and took the 7 out, and it was just a slow roller. And the the table's coming down. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to fall. It's like, it's going to be $2.99, but something hit it and it fell down right before the table came down. And I was so excited, and you can just see joy. And another fun fact, the team I was bowling with, they actually got DVDs of it. So it's on DVD.
Oh, nice. So
nice. Yeah, it was a really cool moment.
Find a clip of it so we can show it here on the show. But were you aware at the time that you were just the 9th woman ever to bowl a 300 at the Open Championships?
They told me that, and I believe I'm sandwiched in between 2 Shannons. I think. Okay. I'm pretty sure. I think I'm in between. I think Shannon O'Keefe did it was the other woman, the woman ahead of me, and then Shannon Plahowski bowled one after me that same year.
Okay. Because I think it's been done once more since. I think there's only 10 women that have bowled 300. Yeah, so that's a pretty nice club to be in.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty cool club, I think. Because that. Another thing was.
Oh, go ahead.
That year was also the year they had the women's championship and Queens in Reno. So I bowled everything in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
And after I bowled that 300, I had to stay and do like the interview. And we got locked in the bowling stadium. It was like 3 a.m.
Oh, wow. Is it closed?
And we got back to my hotel, and I called my coach because it was already like 6 a.m. and he was already awake. So I knew it wasn't going to bother him. I called him, Steve Lakeleider, and I told him I shot 300. And then I went to sleep, and then my phone blew up, just like text messages, like congratulations, all this and all that. And it was still only like 7 o'clock and on the West Coast, and everyone's awake back home. And then I had to bowl my team event, women's championship, that evening. So it was a real quick turnaround to have to like bowl. And then the following week was the Queens. So it was a really fun week for me.
Yeah, sounds like it. A lot of bowling, but when you bowl 300 and it's that big a deal, I think it's certainly a special time.
Yes. Yeah.
So you mentioned Shannon Plahowski and Shannon O'Keefe. You've had a chance to bowl, against both of them on tour for the last 5 years. And one of the questions we've been asking a lot of the players that come on the show is, what do you think it is that makes Shannon O'Keefe, the greatest bowler in the world at the moment?
It's just her work ethic. I think she works very hard and she's always in the gym. She's fit. She's like mentally prepared for just about anything. I've been a teammate of hers when we were both on like the Brunswick DV8 staff. We worked well together when we were able to bounce ideas off each other, and she's helped me even on the lanes. Like I got lost, and she kind of told me like kind of where to target and kind of like where my break point should be. And she just like she's able to see the lanes, and she's able to play the lanes like the way she wants them. And she uses like her strengths she just gets the job done.
Yeah. I mean, she is a lot. A lot of people have given their theories as to why they think she's become the best player on tour. But I think the most common thread is obviously the work ethic, and you get to see it week in and week out with her. But yeah, you've had some success on tour. Had you cash probably around 50% of the tournaments you bowl. You've had a couple runs at making TV shows. What do you think it's going to take for you to kind of get over the hump and get your first title?
I'm just going to have to work harder. Just trust myself a little more when we get later into the tournament. Sometimes I tend to kind of lean back on what I've done before, especially like, we bowl on the same pattern and they get re-oiled, and they're different each time they redress them. But sometimes I kind of lean back to what worked before, and I'm not open-minded enough. And then just sometimes it's like, oh, I don't see it. Then I just kind of stop and like kind of give up-ish. But I know I shouldn't, because you never know what's going to happen, especially if you go in with an open mind and you just try something maybe a little out of your comfort zone. It might work. You just don't know. But you have to be confident in your judgments. And that's what I need to learn to be better at, just being a little more confident in myself as a bowler. Because most of the time I can see what's going on, but I'm not confident that I can do it. So been working like during the off season before all the COVID. I know I like to get left, but I never wanted to get in front of the ball return. So I learned to do that over the break. So we'll see if I get to use it this year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you never know what you're going to get to use on tour, but any skill that you have that's a little different than the rest could possibly give you an advantage. So you've got a couple of regional titles. I know one of them you actually beat Liz Johnson, so that had to have been pretty good for your confidence. What do you think the difference is between winning a regional and a national tour stop out on PWBA?
Well, the two regionals I won happened to be one of those PBA coincided PBA, PWBA regionals. So the foil patterns are definitely different than what we're used to on the PWBA national tour. And it's just, like they say, the fields are a little smaller. It's just, but the win over Liz is just still one of my favorite moments. And it was just one of those, she threw it well that day and she just didn't get breaks. And I got a couple of breaks. But overall, it's just trying to get over that hump. You got more competitors, whereas on the regionals, there's less people on the lanes. Whereas like we get a full stop, there's five ladies on a pair, so they're a little different environment-wise. Because the regionals, like it didn't feel like an actual stop; it just felt like a little tournament, like a sweeper-ish kind of deal.
Yeah, I know the regionals that the PWBA has been running the last couple of years. We've been getting quite a good turnout for those. What do you think? Why do you think it's important for the PWBA to have a regional program?
I think it's great to have a regional program. It just let's bowl like the ladies who aren't sure if they want to bowl full time on tour, if they want to try a national stop at first, to just kind of get their feet wet and see what it's like to bowl with some of the top women bowlers on tour. I know the women's regionals or the regionals we have, the elite bowlers or the elite field or the previous champions, they're not allowed to bowl. But I mean, it's still a great opportunity to kind of get your feet wet and see if you can compete out with the ladies. I know the first time I tried was if I wanted to like step into like the ocean was Teen Queens. That was kind of like where I kind of jumped in with 2 feet and was like, all right, I want to see where I stand against the women that's out there. And that was the year they didn't take 64, they took 32, and I finished 37th in my first tournament. So it was a pretty good, say, hey, I'm pretty close.
Yeah.
Just needed to work on a couple things, and I think I can get to the next level. So that's kind of like how mine was. But now with the regionals, it's a chance to, they're one-day tournaments, so it's definitely worth it just to kind of get in there and see if you want to, give a national stop a try.
Yeah. Now I know you, we're studying to go into the medical field. You have a degree in biomedical science and a minor in Latin and chemistry. So, are you still planning on going back and working to try to get into the medical field? And the other part of this question would be, how much longer do you give yourself in bowling, and what are the goals that you're trying to accomplish before you maybe move to the next chapter?
I don't know about the medical field right now. I know mine kind of, the degree I have kind of bases more toward research. So we'll kind of see about that. Maybe 5 more years, I'll do the bowling. Let's not really want to put a number on it, but but I would love to, to make a show. It was kind of a goal. Like I think the year I kind of made a run at a show in Sonoma. I think that my goal that year was to finish in the single digits, because I think my best finish had been 12th or 11th, something like that. Yeah. And I said, let's get to a single digit. And when I made a run at that, I was staying in the top 5 for a little bit. I was like, all right, I think, I finished 8th, and I was like, you know what, your next goal, just make a TV show. Would be kind of like where I want to get to, and then just kind of set little goals and hopefully work to get there. Yeah,
no, that's, I mean, like I said, you were, that week in Sonoma, you were there the whole week and had a great chance to make the show for sure. And you've made several other match play appearances as well. But I'm curious, with your background in science, what are your perspectives on what's going on with this pandemic that we're all going through here in the country?
Oh, right now, I mean, I think we have to do what we think will kind of like protect everyone, just wearing masks and keeping the social distancing. I know it's hard on a lot of people. I know, I know I want to see my friends from tour and everything, but it's all about safety right now. Just trying to, keep everyone from getting sick. And I mean, we knew it was going to get worse before it got better. So like, hopefully like they'll get a vaccine and we can kind of get back to some sort of normalcy. But right now it's just kind of, it is what it is. Yeah,
it is. It's definitely, you never say that when good things are happening though, do you? Unfortunately. Yeah, it's a shame for sure. But obviously, in order to get those degrees, you have to be a pretty smart, pretty studious person. Do you keep up with kind of what's going on in those fields, or do you have like separate reading that you do, outside of your bowling and your work?
No, I don't.
You had enough
to be honest, I don't. Yeah, I had enough of it. Just to pass a couple chemistry classes, I was in some study groups, and it was like a job. We studied. I know my organic chem class, the first part of it, we studied so much. We had classes Tuesday, Thursday evenings. We studied Monday and Wednesday for at least 3 hours each day. And I'm like, I can't so I really don't read too much on chemistry stuff anymore. If I do any kind of reading, it's just going to be for fun. But now I'm into video games. That's
okay.
I love. So that's my free time is,
what video games are you into?
Playing video games. Right now I'm playing Animal Crossing.
Okay. And so, now I'm not familiar with that one. I mean, I know I kind of follow some of the games my son plays, but what's Animal Crossing? How does that work?
You have an island, and you like a deserted island. So your job is to kind of make it pretty, like make it a 5-star island.
Okay.
You have villagers that live with you. So you make stuff, or you make furniture, or you buy clothes. You just try to make your island really pretty, like grow flowers, grow fruit trees.
Okay.
And you just try to make your
island like Sims?
Pretty. Kinda like Sims.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay. But with instead of like you're like the only human being, your villagers are animals.
Okay. So it's like Minecraft, Sims, kind of amalgam.
Kind of like, yeah, something like that. I don't know. I haven't played Minecraft, but if I'm not playing Animal Crossing, I'm playing Super Mario. So I'm at like a Nintendo. I'm in a Nintendo kick right now.
And Super Mario, they have like every kind of different game. Like, what are your favorite? Like, I know they have fighting games and they have racing games and adventure games.
Like the platformers where you have like levels. Yeah. Like those.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up as an only child, so didn't have anyone to play with.
Yeah, I grew up playing. I actually my local Chuck E. Cheese ran a competition where if you got over a certain score on their Donkey Kong machine, they entered you into a drawing, and I actually won the machine. And so,
that's awesome.
It was awesome. Except for my parents, they were like, "Great, now all the neighborhood kids are going to be in our house, 24/7," which is what happened. But it was fun playing. You got to kind of master Donkey Kong, and then Nintendo came out and spent a few years of my life playing that. But but yeah, I mean, what other types of games do you like to play besides the ones we just talked about?
Oh, I grew up playing Mortal Kombat. I mean, a couple years on tour. If you see me on my phone, I was probably playing Mortal Kombat on my phone.
Okay.
And just mine kind of changes, but I tend to go towards like classic stuff I played when I was a kid: Mortal Kombat, Super Mario. I just got into Animal Crossing because I started watching like a Twitch streamer, and I found her through YouTube, and she was kind of like really always positive. And so when I started watching her, I got into the game. I was like, I don't know about this, but I got into it, and I really like it because it's super relaxing. You don't really have a lot of goals. Like, you just play it to like just pass time, kill time. And it's relaxing.
Nice. It's like do you remember the game Pitfall? It's old. It's like Atari 2600.
Oh, well, I didn't play that.
Yeah. Well, you go back. You might be able to find it online.
I've heard of it.
It's like the first video game that didn't have like an objective. You just kind of played for the fun of it.
Yeah, and that's how Animal Crossing is. You just play for the fun of it. Once you just kind of make your island really you make it, you beautify it, and you get your friends to come visit you.
Nice. Well, while we're on the topic of fantasy, I know you're a big Harry Potter fan.
Yes.
How did you get into that? Did you read all the books? Is that how you got into it? Or were you a movie person?
So as a senior in high school, my English class, we had the block scheduling, so it was an hour and a half class. Our English teacher gave us 30 minutes to read anything we wanted. The only book I could find in there was Harry Potter. And I was like, well, I'll just read it, And so I read it. I read the first book in that class, like just from the 30 minutes we got each day. And I was like, oh, it's not too bad. It's pretty good. And then I think that year the fourth movie came out. So I remember watching the first three and then watch the fourth one. And I was like, oh, it's pretty good. But I didn't finish the series until, I want to say, a couple years ago, when I kind of reread the first book, read all of them all at once. I probably want to say I finished it like 3 years ago. But I'd watched all the movies before I read the books, and just became a fan of it. And just because you have characters you can relate to, and then like I went to Universal, going to Harry Potter World was just it brings out my inner nerd, but it's fun for me. So
yeah, I have a kind of a funny story about Harry Potter books. I didn't read any of the books. I bought them for my kids. They read them. But I was really curious after seeing the sixth movie to find out what happened. And the seventh book had come out. So I bought the book, and I brought it to a production meeting for television. We had Jason Couch there and Tim Mack and a couple other guys that were going to help with commentary. And Jason Couch saw me with the book, and Jason Couch, he is pretty merciless when it comes to ribbing.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Oh, Harry Potter, I guess we're not going to be talking football in this meeting, Jason. With your Harry Potter book." And it was pretty funny. But I was like, "Hey, man, I got to find out what happened. I just saw the sixth movie, and this is the only one I've read, really. But I got to find out what happened." But I mean, they're great books, and my kids still love it. They watch the movies still to this day, and we took them to the Universal Park in California, and they just love that. But so they're looking forward to going to the one in Orlando as well. Is that the one you've been to?
Oh, the one in Orlando is pretty cool. I got actually we went to Sarasota. I think it was Sarasota, wherever the Florida regional was back in January. And I was like, I'm going to go to Orlando. I'll go to Universal for a few days. And they had just built the new roller coaster, because they took out the dragon ones, and the Hagrid ride is pretty sweet. So if you ever get a chance, if you like roller coasters,
I'm sure I'll be forced to go. I mean, I like it too. I like amusement parks as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to I heard the Orlando one is just like crazy, better than the one in
it's bigger.
Hollywood.
I think it's bigger. Yeah, it's bigger in Florida one, and I had a blast. I rode, I think, that Hagrid roller coaster probably 4 times, I want to say. But it was I was there 2 days, so I went once in the morning and once at nighttime. It's 2 different experiences.
Okay.
So, and then I don't know if you've seen how like the ride is, but there's like it's the motorbike, like you see Hagrid riding on at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So you can be the driver or you can be the passenger. So, and the guy, when I checked in my hotel, he told me do it both, like do one on the bike and one as the passenger.
Okay.
So it's 2 different experiences. Okay. So definitely check it out.
We'll have to do that. I know when we went to the one in Hollywood, I spent about $300 on butterbeer. So
butterbeer is
and just, for people watching at home, it's not real beer. I'm not giving my kids real beer. It is this amazing like butterscotch flavored. Soda. Yeah. It's the best thing I've ever tasted.
It really is.
But it is not cheap.
No, it's not. Which one do you like better, the frozen or?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I think I liked the frozen better.
Okay.
But my kids liked the non-frozen. But they didn't drink all of theirs, so I got to drink like and I was like, man, they're good both ways. But we went on a really hot day, so the frozen one I think hit the spot for me.
Yeah. Well, when I went in January, I actually got to try the hot one.
Oh wow! Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty like butterbeer itself is pretty sweet, but the hot one I thought was a little sweeter. So I think I'll stick with the frozen.
Yeah, it's just good stuff. It's good stuff, and so I know you're also a fan of Emma Watson and Beauty and the Beast and some of the other movies that she's been in. Are you just a Beauty and the Beast fan, or do you like all the Disney musicals?
Beauty and the Beast it has a place in my heart. It's definitely my favorite, but I do have a place in my heart for like anything Disney. Okay. Just a big Disney fan in general.
Okay. What if you had like a top 5 Disney musicals, what would be in your top 5?
What would be my top 5? Well, Beauty and the Beast would be in there. Frozen. The first one. Okay. I'd put Coco up there. Pretty, that one kind of hits in the gives you feels. Moana's pretty good. I've only watched it once, but the soundtrack's really good.
Yeah.
And what other soundtrack would I listen?
Are you looking forward? Are you going to pay the $30 to watch the live action one?
I do it by of which one? Mulan.
Yeah, they're coming out with a live action one, and it got delayed because of the pandemic, and now they're gonna if you Disney Plus subscribers can pay $30 to get it.
Yeah, I think I'll just wait for that one. I mean, I'd watch it in the theater before, because I mean, $30, but it looks really good. And Mulan's a great movie also. Yeah,
for sure. So. They said they would release it in some theaters, but they're totally. It's just a play it by ear strategy, I think, because they don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know the movie theater here opened back up, and they're trying to do social distancing. But I love going to the movie theaters. I just haven't been since all the COVID stuff, just because being safe. And I'll give you a fun fact about me. I told Emil this, and I think I haven't even watched my little player profile video, but I do remember telling him. So in 2017, when Beauty and the Beast came out, I would watch it on Wednesday, the day before practice day.
Yeah.
Before every stop. Yeah, before every stop. And that was kind of like a routine because I cashed the first time. And then the second week I did it and I cashed. So it was kind of like part of my superstition.
Yeah, gotcha.
It worked every time except once.
Okay.
But I had to watch it in theater. That was a difference.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah, now you don't have the option to do that, right? You could rent the theater out.
I could. I'd have to cash a few or win a couple times.
Yeah, you'd have to win. It's a little more expensive to rent the whole theater out than it is just to see it. But
but then the next year it's like I got to find another movie to watch before each practice, or the Wednesday before the practice session. And I was like, Aladdin came out last year.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it didn't work. So I think my
didn't work with Aladdin.
No, I hit a rough stretch after I watched Aladdin. So there was no more Aladdin. Although Aladdin's one of my favorite movies. Also,
it was great. The animated one was amazing, and the live action one is not too bad either. So you have been one of our most popular players in terms of like guest commentary on Bull TV, and also fan fests and pro-am events, or Bull with the Pro events. What is it that you like about interacting with the fans?
Just meeting everyone who come out and support us. They're the reason we're like there in the first place. Like they come out and waddle. I know, like even when I was a fan, or I'm still a fan of bowling, but like going to go watch the Pro Bowl, it's just fun to watch them. But also I feel like our sport, you have the opportunity to talk to the pros, whereas like if you go to like a baseball game or a basketball game, you can't really talk to your favorite pro, and you just get that opportunity really kind of, you can have a chat with them and just kind of get to know them, although just get that more personal connection, I guess would be the right words to say. And I love getting on Bowl TV with whoever's in the booth, Neil or Daniel. Aaron's in there sometimes, and just kind of talking about what's going on the lanes. I know Emil will ask about like what I saw when I was bowling, kind of just give them an insight of what I was thinking as a bowler and what I was seeing. But for me, it's just trying to give back to the people who come out and support us week in and week out, watching us live or watching us on Bowl TV. So just want to try to connect to the fans.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about your mom, being there for your 300 game at the Open Championships, and I know she's supported. You've been a top bowler all the way back from when you were a little kid. Just talk a little bit about her support, and what does she think about your whole bowling career? How does she support you when you come back maybe after a bad week? What does she tell you?
Oh, well, she's been super supportive. She still comes out and watches me bowl week once a week. She might not be watching, but she's there. Even after a bad week, she says, "Oh, you can try again," or she'll just be like she'll say, "Bowl better." Sometimes that's all it takes. But knowing she's supporting me is definitely week in and week out. It's hard being on the road, and then a couple of weeks you don't cash. You lose your confidence. But knowing someone's there to at least tell you, just try, and trying it helps. And she, like I said, she's been my rock from all my life. So
yeah, I know you did get started pretty young, and then became one of the top junior players in your area. What was it that attracted you to bowling at such a young age? What about it made you fall in love?
Well, my parents bowled about like every night of the week, and I bowled league on Saturday mornings, and I just got into it, and I guess I kind of like self-taught myself like the approach, and just got into it. I played basketball and volleyball a little bit. Played volleyball longer. I played it through high school. And bowling to me is just one of those sports that you can play for the rest of your life. And you don't have to do it competitively. You just have fun, go out with friends and just bowl and have a good time. And I know when I was younger, I think I just got into it and slowly got better each year I did it. So, then I was so competitive, I wanted to win. So I had to get better. And then as I got older, I got a little more coaching, and that just kind of brought it over the top. I was like, a lot of people were like, why don't you just go try? Like before they brought the PWBA back, they're like, why don't you try some of the PBA regionals? And I'm like, oh, I don't know yet. But I would bowl like the sweepers or the small scratch tournaments in the area. And once I got that confidence of like cashing, then I was like, all right, we'll give it like, I think it was the 2013 Queen Show. I was like, oh, I think it was Diana won that year, I think. And I was like, oh, if she can make it, I think it was one of those, oh, I think I'll give it a try. And then 2014 I really kind of jumped in to that competitive competition, like just real competition. So.
Yeah, I remember reading a news story, back in like 2013 about you, pursuing bowling, which, at the time there really wasn't, a tour, and there was nobody knew that a tour was going to come back. So when you heard that there was going to be a tour again, what was your reaction? I imagine pretty excited, but what did it mean to you?
Well, to say the truth, I wasn't too sure about how much of the bowling I would do, just because everything seemed to be a little farther away. So I think in 2015, I said, I'll do Queens and the US Open. I said, I'll do the two majors for sure. And I was close at making a cut at Queens. I got a check, but I didn't make the match play. And then I talked to a couple people. I actually crossed with Anne-Marie Dugan. And she's like, oh, you should probably, give it a try. Just kind of, work a little harder on a couple things and get a little better at that, and then get out there and give it a try. And I think my first tournament as a member was Wichita. And I was close to making a cut there. I got a check. I just didn't make match play. And then bowled back. And then eventually it just became, oh, I'll just, I'll do these stops. And the one time I did make match play in 2015 was in Detroit, and I didn't plan on that one. And that one was a last minute decision, because that was the stop before the US Open. It was it was a real tight schedule of traveling to get there. And I said, well, you know what? I'll just give it a try. And that happened to be one of the harder patterns we bowl on. The scores were lower.
They were rough that week. I remember
they were brutal. And I remember the last game, my ball rep was Jeff Smith, who was working with time, and we were in, and I was like, I don't know, I just remember moving to my last game. I knew I was close to the number, and I was like, I need 2-0 to get in, and I 7-10 in the middle of the game. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a little hard because they were so brutal, and I remember having to make a bucket. I got a double somewhere toward the end of the game. Oh, I got a double in the 9th and 10th. I had to make a bucket, the 2-4-5-8, to shoot 205, I think. Well, you didn't want to hook at it, so I was like, I'm just throwing my spare ball to throw it hard. And the lady I was crossing with, she goes, you got this. You can make it. And I made it. And I'm like, well, I'm not sure if I made the cut. And I remember waiting for the number. I was like, I'm either going to be the cut or I'm going to be a couple pins short. And I ended up making it. And I was so excited. And then I realized, I was like, oh, I have to bowl on that again for 16 more games. And then my first match was Kelly Killick.
Oh, good. Yeah, there's your reward for making the cut.
I pretty much said, welcome to professional ranks. It was right there.
Yeah.
But fun experience. But nowadays, I tend to still like the harder stuff, the harder patterns, just because the lower scores, you just have to be able to grind out games, make your spares, and it's mentally tougher. But you know they're hard, and you don't have to like force a double here or force a triple there. You just have to stay patient and grind out those games for the rough, and hopefully hit a good pair and just shoot 220, 240.
Yeah, no, I mean, the good news is, if you like hard patterns, the PWBA is the place you want to be. There aren't a lot of cupcake weeks that we have out on
yes.
the tour.
Yes, like Sonoma, every time we went there before last year, every time we went there, they were always so hard. I know last year was a little higher scoring, but I remember and then we even had a Burns there, and they just got harder.
Yeah. So it's good that there's a challenge out there. And speaking of challenge, you talked about Liz Johnson a little bit, beating her for a regional title. Talked about Kelly Kulick. We're doing the 20 Greatest Seasons series on Fridays on the PWBA's all-time great seasons. Who's kind of your pick for greatest of all time? Maybe like before and after the tour relaunched.
Before the tour relaunched?
Yeah.
Oh well, to be honest, I really didn't watch the ladies before.
Okay.
So but from what I've seen, stats wise, I think like Carolyn Doran Ballard or Leanne Olsenberg would be up there. But that's about the only era I kind of know. I don't know anything before that.
Gotcha. So I hope you're watching the 20 Greatest Seasons so you can learn about it.
Yeah, I said that's something just learn some more facts. That's what they always joke. Yeah, they always made fun of me. Nathan and Nathan Bohr, the Motive ball rep, he always makes fun of me because I always remember random facts about our oil patterns, how long they are, or who was on what show and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was amazed at some of the 20 Greatest Seasons because I think when you're used to seeing what's happened the last few years, you kind of forget or maybe even didn't even realize how many great players came before this current era. And it's been a lot of fun for me to kind of revisit some of these. When I first saw the list of the 20 greatest, I was like, wow, I didn't realize this person would be so low. Somebody who just maybe had an amazing season, and then you kind of get a new appreciation for how great the players of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s were, which was kind of neat.
Right.
So out of this group now, we talked a little bit about Shannon, but you've also mentioned Liz. Who's kind of your best since the relaunch, in your mind?
In my mind, I mean, you can't go wrong with either Liz or Shannon. I think Liz had great those first few seasons. She was tough to beat, and Shannon's just been on a tear the last couple of years. And so I would say Liz is the greatest of all time, and then Shannon's right behind her. She's getting there. If she gets Player of the Year one more time, I think she's definitely could be considered a GOAT.
Yeah, it's only been done twice, three-peat with Player of the Year. What about the next wave? After Shannon O'Keefe, who do you think? Who's your pick for kind of the next person who's going to take the torch?
Oh, that's a tough question. Considering everyone's a peer and a friend. So.
Well, we don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to be mean to anybody, but I mean, I don't think there would be any harm in saying, you think Jordan Richard is, the next.
I think, yeah, Jordan, her game is just so phenomenal. Her ball roll is so good. She makes when she strikes, she just strikes a ton. And I think when she won in Lincoln, I got a front row seat because I crossed with her in qualifying, and she struck a ton. Yeah. I don't know how she did it, but she did. Because I just remember hoping I would hit like the right side of the head pin at one point in Red Stop last year. Trust me, there was definitely one shot I missed the hit, like was Runaway Brooklyn, and I left 5-6-10. Not very many righties leave that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I had to make it to make the cut too.
Did you make it?
I did make it. I was clean too.
Nice.
That game, I shot.
Nice. Yeah.
And so it was. I mean, she's definitely one that could just start running away and just winning title after title. I think Julia Bond's gonna be that next wave. Also, she's killed the regional tour, and she just finds a way to make cuts, and she's always kind of close to that, like just making that next step into like a TV show. So
yeah, there's definitely a good crop of young players, including some players that didn't get a chance to become rookies this year, with Brianna Clemmer and Caitlin Johnson. We had them on the podcast, but it's really interesting to me to see. These players who you think are going to be great, some of them turn out to be great. Some of them turn out not to be great. What is it that's so hard about succeeding on the women's tour?
Yeah, I think there's like a definite learning curve. I know there was one for me, but I didn't bowl in college. So I think each year you gain knowledge and you use that knowledge for the next season, and just so forth and so on. And each year, the new rookie class gets even better than what it was before. And everyone's still working hard to get better each year. And the PWBA, from when I started to what it is now, the talent out there is just unbelievable. Everyone's such a great bowler, and they have these, like certain ones have their tricks to like get them to the next level. And like I said, competition's getting harder now. Yeah, no,
it's certainly not getting easier. That's for sure. You talked a little bit about your goals, your goal of trying to make a show. What, think 20 years ahead. What do you hope to accomplish, in your time on the tour? And think about what it is that you're setting for yourself as goals for that time.
Like I said earlier in the show, I would love to make a show, and just even a chance to like bowl for a title is definitely a goal. If I win a title on like the national tour, that'd be, just like icing on the cake for me. Like I said, then bowling college didn't have a lot of like competitive bowling where I live with like women. It was more bowling with the guys. So, and just to kind of, anytime I would always make a match play, it's always like, oh, it's a success. But there's always another tournament ahead of you, whether it be bowling, round robin match play. That's just a different kind of environment in itself. And I'd also love to win another region. Like, hope like if I'm still bowling regionals, I would love to win another regional. That's another goal.
I'm sure you'll have plenty of chances. We're coming up on an hour here on the show, and before we let our guests go, we've got one question that we have to ask, which is, what are the summer Jasmin binge watch recommendations?
My binge watch recommendations?
Yeah.
Definitely going to be, it's always Harry Potter movies for me. Right now, my mom's been into Law and Order SVU, so I end up watching that with her. I'm a Grey's Anatomy fan also, so I would binge watch that. And then if you have time, all the Disney movies would probably be like my binge watch.
Okay. Are you a Disney Plus subscriber?
Actually, I'm not, but I mean,
okay.
I just have I have a bunch of movies. And anytime anything comes on TV, I usually just flip it to Disney Channel. for movies. So,
Okay.
or yeah, I love watching movies. Like I said, just watched a whole bunch right now, just with all the COVID. But no, my family and I, we love going to the movies. I know when I was in college, I'd come home. That's what we do. We go to the movie theater Friday night.
Yeah. No, the Disney Plus thing, you got to get on that. It's pretty cool. Every Disney movie you could ever want, all in one place.
I know, but then you would never see me. I'd always be on my phone, or I'd be locked up in my room.
That's probably smart. It's probably smart then. Well, Summer's been nice.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts before we wrap up the show today?
Oh, Jason, just want to thank you for having me and including me in the PWBA podcast. I've had a blast just chatting with you. I hope everyone's kind of enjoyed seeing us chat, I guess. And hopefully get to be back on the lanes and seeing everybody in person that can come out and watch us, or just seeing this on Bold TV.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're all looking forward to that as well. Just trying to plan for when we can get back to it. But yeah, I hope you have a good time. Preparing for next year's tour. Good luck with the wood lanes there, with bowling on the freshly resurfaced wood lanes there at Leisure Lanes, and good luck in any of the upcoming tournaments that you got going on, and we look forward to seeing you out on tour next year.
All right. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it.
All right, Summer. We'll talk to you soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Summer Jasmin. It was nice catching up with her. One of the really nice people that we have out on our tour, as we mentioned. It's been so great as an ambassador for the sport. Both in both the pro events and the fan fests. She's been a very solid competitor for 5 years, as she mentioned. She's dabbled around in the cut and almost made a couple of shows, and I'm sure we'll see her on a telecast coming up very soon. She's certainly learned quite a bit since she's come out on tour, for the last several years, and I think once she gets that confidence that she can win. Obviously, beating Liz Johnson in a regional, I'm sure it was a big boost. But somebody we'll definitely be seeing on TV upcoming on the PWBA tour. So I've got a couple more shows for you here this week. We have an episode of Inside the OC on Thursday. We'll have Jenny Wonders on that show. And then another episode of the 20 greatest seasons in PWBA history. This week will feature our number 14 entry on the countdown, which is Tish Johnson's 1992 season. So be sure to check back Friday for that. And then tomorrow, we've got a special edition of the Sport of Bowling show featuring past USBC President Carl Kielick. Jason Overstreet, our USBC Deputy Executive Director, conducted that interview. A lot of interesting perspective on his time as USBC President and also his near decade on the board of directors. So be sure to check that out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time right here on Bowl TV and the USBC Facebook page and the Bowl TV YouTube channel. So that's going to do it for our podcast today. We'll be back again next week with Aaron Smith. We'll have Gigi Mason on that show, and we're looking forward to having a great week here on Bowl TV. Remember, bowling lives here.